Hello, and welcome to another Netflix Picks. This week I've chosen one of the creepiest found footage movies I've seen in a long time, simply entitled Creep. Although some people have grown tired of the subgenre, you might be surprised to discover that this movie is actually quite refreshing. The story focuses on a troubled man who tricks another man into spending the day with him. After paying the man to record the day's events for his unborn son, our creep immediately sets an uneasy tone that never lets up throughout the entirety of the film. This is an extremely minimalist film starring only Mark Duplass and the director Patrick Brice. It honestly feels like something that the two got together and shot over the course of a few days just for the hell of it. Of course, this isn't the case, as you'll come to find out later. Regardless of how low budget the film is, it still manages to tell a well-crafted and interesting story that will keep you creeped out from beginning to end. Duplass plays our creep, and he does a ridiculously good job with the role. He genuinely comes off as a pretty creepy guy, and it's almost impossible to pinpoint exactly why. After all, he seems like someone who means well at first, but as the story develops, you begin to understand that there's something darker underneath the facade that his character has put up. Creep is intentionally shot in such a way that it always makes Duplass look either threatening or dangerous. This is achieved not only through simple means like shooting him from a low angle to make him look powerful, but also lighting techniques and tricks that have become commonplace tropes and cliches of the found footage film. For instance, you can expect at least one or two moments where the audience knows more than the victim in the movie, which is something that you see in pretty much every Paranormal Activity movie ever made. The problem with a lot of found footage flicks is that they try to create almost a carbon copy of the other films in the genre, instead of coming up with an entirely new idea. I think that's why I like Creep so much, because it's not the same old story given a slightly different coat of paint. It's an entirely new story placed in the context of the genre. I love seeing anything that hasn't really been done before, and although it's fair to say that many elements of Creep have been seen somewhere else, it's also fair to say that the story itself is fairly original. As of yet, no details about the budget have been released, but we can define this as a low-budget independent horror in the style of Paranormal Activity. Considering that movie was shot on the budget of $1,500, it's hard to say just how much money went into Creep, but it probably wasn't a whole lot. That being said, it's worth noting that Duplass and Brice apparently shot multiple different endings. Unfortunately, we might not get to see those alternate endings unless the movie gets a physical release, which doesn't appear likely at the moment. Even so, with the ending as it exists today, Creep is an excellent found footage film worthy of your time. If you liked Catfish or As Above, So Below, I highly recommend that you give Creep a shot. Thanks for watching, and stay tuned next week for another Netflix Picks.